Palm Beach State College. He does training for mental health first aid. He's now organizing a youth esports league and keeping me afloat. That's a challenge, and he's up to it. Thank you so much, Ed. I couldn't do it without you. I'm also grateful to our steering committee, a working committee which meets monthly and assumes shared responsibility. These shared responsibilities bring us to today. You will find that the working committee, the steering committee, is going to be sharing leadership and will continue to do so during our bi-monthly membership meetings. Now to go on to introductions. My self-introduction is, well, I've been an educator in and out of the classrooms in Ohio and South Florida for 40 years. And then I spent an additional 30 years volunteering to bring educational change in places throughout the nation, most recently right down here in Southeast Florida. The Action Alliance has been a project of Boca Raton's Promise since 2011. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Bruce Saltz. He's a 5-year member of the board of directors of Boca Raton's Promise. Bruce, are you on? You are? I'm pleased to introduce you to the people. And by the way, we have people here from North Carolina, West Virginia, and I think one from California. They are following us, and the one in California is just escaping the fires. Bruce, you have a message for us today.
Well, not much of a message. I just wanted to say that per some conversations with you, we reached out to the Palm Beach County Medical Society to see if we could find some interest there in having them send a representative to the Action Alliance. And they're going to be publishing a statement to that effect in their e-newsletter, and hopefully we'll be able to get some buy-in from their organization as well. Otherwise, I don't have much to add other than to echo Dr. Rotenberg's comments that this is a challenging time for all of us, and let's make sure that we take care of ourselves adequately so that we can continue to provide good care to everybody else.
Thank you, Bruce, for your support and your encouragement for many years on the board of directors. You help us work toward our mission. We have a joint mission between Boca Raton's Promise and the Action Alliance. Here is what it is. We identify, prioritize, and take action to promote and support education, early identification, and access to mental health services. Now, today's meeting is special. We have reports from not one, not two, but all 4 priorities. Actions are underway by this alliance, and community supporters are here today. I want to thank you all for being here and rallying around our efforts as we have rallied around yours. You are our cheering squad. A valued alliance member is Jenny Caesar. She's there at our meetings, and Jenny is the aide for our Congresswoman Lois Frankel, who sends her greetings. Jenny, do you have any comments?
I just was able to hop on this a second ago. For whatever reason, I had a problem connecting to Zoom, but I wanted to say hi to everyone. It's great to see everyone. I know this is a little bit more challenging doing it on Zoom, but Rita, thank you so much.
All right,
I think everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Now, a frequent drop-in at meetings is Senator Lori Berman and her aide, Abby Ross. Is Abby on? Do you have any greetings from Abby?
Yes, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday. And I'll be brief like Jenny and just say hello and thanks for having me. I do try to drop in as often as I can. And, you know, Senator Berman always keeps mental health issues on the forefront and anything related to the health policy area. She was previously the vice chairwoman, but we don't know what will happen, of course, with a new administration after November. So hopefully she'll stick in the realm of healthcare issues, even if she's not on the committee. Rita, I know that you and I have spoken privately, but anytime anyone ever needs anything, we have a proposal we're actually starting to look at. So I'll send it your way and maybe some others from the group can weigh in. It relates to suicide prevention, so it'd be very much up the alley of this group, but it's very much not formulated yet. So we could probably use some help and direction from various proponents in that realm. So I'll leave it there, but thank you so much for always having me on behalf of Senator Berman. And of course, again, we stand ready and able to help with any issues that any of you are having. You know, we deal a lot with unemployment problems right now and, you know, just different issues. So if you have people you talk to and you don't know where to go, feel free to ask people like Jenny or myself. We can try to get you to the right place.
All right. Did Ed mention that this Zoom meeting is being recorded so that if anyone wants to hear or see or listen in later, they'll be able to do that. We will send you information on how to do that. Thank you. Thank you very much, Abby. Vice Mayor County Commissioner Robert Weinroth is represented today by Alexandria Hale. Are you are you with us, Alexandria? If not, she may be called on later for greetings. Senator Gail Harrell is represented by her aide, Darlene Van Ripper. Darlene, are you with us?
I am. It's Van Riper, 1P,
Oh,
not
thank
2.
you. Thank you.
Elaine, I know how you feel. 1T, not 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I am instructed by the senator who could not be here and apologizes profusely, but she is very busy today. But instructed by her to take copious notes, which I will be doing. But I am the only one here in the office today, so if I have to disappear, it's to answer the phone. So anyway, I'm very interested. I've never attended one of these before. It should be quite interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, the following people are not yet confirmed, but is Beth Levine, who's a valued connection at Ruth and Norman Rails, Jewish Family Services. Are you on this call with us, Beth? If not, know that Ruth and Norman Rails has been an ally and we've been through much together. Constance Scott, are you represented here today? All right. Constance is someone who has helped and advised me in several ways. And she is an intergovernment specialist at FAU. Catherine Murphy could not be where we are today without your guidance and assistance and leadership. Are you on, and would you like to say anything at this time? Catherine, we thank you. Geico and Be Well those are two terms that I associate with you, Catherine. Pat Thomas, are you available to say a few words? Pat is the person who works and is on the Boca Raton Regional Hospital. Pat is responsible for bringing school nurses, introducing them and funding them through the hospital, probably 20 years ago. The first school nurse and all the subsequent ones are probably the gift of Pat Thomas. Pat, I wish you were with us today. Maria Sachs, have you checked in yet? Ed, do you see her? How about Vicki Katz? We owe a lot of thanks to Vicki. She is a member of the Action Alliance and from the, let's see, that's called the Falk Center for Counseling.
That's right, and she is here.
No,
Vicki?
I'm here in place of
Oh,
Vicky today.
Holly's here,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Yes.
right. I'm here in place of Vicky today.
All right, let's
Pleasure
see
to be here.
Holly's charming face again. We know we're going to hear from her later.
Happy
Thank
to
you
be
for,
here.
thank you for that information. Kim Williams, checking in from West Virginia. Are you with us yet? Kim Williams? Not here. All right. Jerry Muyo.
Kim's here. Sorry, I was muted.
All right. Hello, Kim.
Hi, sorry.
Do you have any greetings for people?
No, I'm just so thrilled that everybody shows up, and I was a part of the steering committee at one time, and it just warms my heart to see the commitment and the support. And after all these years, what can I say?
Yes. Yes.
We miss you, Kim.
I miss you guys.
Kim, you'll be back down here when
So
the
good to
cold-
see you, Kim.
I know, I'm so glad. I'll be back November 2nd, so I hope I get to see somebody if we ever really get to see anybody in person.
Oh, we will. Kim,
Okay.
that's a promise. I want to
Okay.
let you know, Kim, that I want others to know that you retired from the school district. So this is how we became involved with the Lovewell Institute. And yes, breaking of the silence. Thank you, Kim, for all you've done.
Thank you.
Is Jerry Muyo on with us? All right, Jerry, we'll talk tomorrow. Brandy Baumkirchner. Is Brandy with us? I haven't seen your face for quite a while. Brandy?
I am here. I didn't press unmute. I forgot. Hi,
Brandy, do you have any greetings for this group of friends? Many of the Action Alliance people are seeing you after an absence of some time. Glad you are back.
Thank you. Just hello, everyone, and hope everyone's well, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Corinne, is Corinne available? Corinne is someone that was introduced to several Boca Raton Promise Board of Directors. She and her 3 fabulous daughters have created something that's 40, I think the last number was 40,000 people are tuned into it. Corinne, would you like to talk about Woolmaze now or later?
That's so sweet. I just want to say hello to everyone. It's an honor to be here amongst you all. And Rita, just, I know I say this to you every time we speak, just thank you for everything that you do for our community. You're changing lives, and I know it takes a village, which is evident here, but I'm just so incredibly grateful. We are all so incredibly grateful to have met you and have our paths cross.
Thank you, Corinne. And I know that on the 22nd of this month, you are going to be launching or relaunching Woolmaze in a new form.
Yeah.
We will be sure to carry that information forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Corinne. Well, I'm pleased to move this forward by now introducing Gerda. She's going to introduce persons who are going to be providing the reports, because this Action Alliance has a few reports, but actually she deserves no introduction, but she's going to get one now. I met Gerda in 2004 when we each had lost a child and we became soul buddies. We formed a survivor group that we named the I Am Ones. And we held a luncheon. Together we planned and made a film, and we built an alliance. And now she helps to keep it focused on its mission and its charter. She protects this alliance. And she's also busy with the Boynton Beach Mental Health Initiative. She works with Be Well, with Boca Raton's Promise as an administrative assistant, and she's now training in a mental health first aid, virtual training. Gerda is now going to guide us through our priority reports. With help from the steering committee members, listen carefully and do plan to chat with Dr. Seth Bernstein during the question discussion session following reports hosted by Gerda. Gerda, it's yours. Take it away.
As Rita said, we have a full agenda and we are running on the late side already. So our engaged presenters are ready. So I think we need to get going. The first one is going to be from Nancy Gao. Nancy is a long-time Mental Health Alliance, Action Alliance member, and she represents the League of Women Voters, and she's dedicated to making sure our members are kept informed. So, Nancy, would you do your report, please?
Yes, thank you, Gerda. I chair the Healthcare Committee for Palm Beach County League of Women Voters, and we try to assist this coalition, this organization, the Alliance, with legislation, keep everybody up to date. Right now, I do not have an actual legislation report since the session does not begin until next March. The committees, however, will be convening probably next month. So we should start to see some action then. And I should have a report for you the next time that we meet. I would, however, and in the rest of my 3 minutes, like to make a huge plug and push for Medicaid expansion in Florida. As many of you are aware, Florida is one of only 12 states in this country that has not passed Medicaid expansion. These are federal dollars, our taxpayer money, that we could be getting back from Washington if our legislators would just agree to accept it. It has become very political, unfortunately. If we were to pass it, more than 800,000 Floridians could gain health insurance. These are mostly the working poor that fall in the gap. They don't qualify currently for Medicaid. They don't qualify for the Affordable Care Act. So the push is on this time to do it through legislation, since the petition ballot initiative did not make it. There are rumors that at least 2 state senators will introduce legislation or propose it for Medicaid expansion, but all of you can help by joining Medicaid Matters Florida. I think they call themselves now Healthcare for Florida. And if you all join the coalition, go to their website, I'll put it in the chat room. And all you have to do, there's no charge. All you have to do is enter your information. You will start getting emails. It will keep you abreast of what's happening with this initiative, this very important initiative. And I thank Rita and the steering committee for agreeing to join. I haven't seen your names on the list yet of the coalition, but I'm sure they will appear soon. It just really, the list is growing and growing, and it just is so impressive, and it just shows the force behind this need for expanding Medicare. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nancy, for that important information. We on the agenda, we have Charmaine Pastel. Are you here, Charmaine? All right, so we'll just move on to the next report. There's some very creative new community-wide grassroots initiatives were recently awarded by the Do Well mini grants through Be Well Palm Beach County. Robin Johnson Blake, who is Director of Community Relations at Palm Beach State College and a member of the Action Alliance Steering Group, committee will tell you about an excited group at the college who are so pleased to have received one of those terrific mini grants for their amazing idea. After her report, Robin will introduce Lauren Zuckman, Director of Be Well Palm Beach County, for some information, some reports. Okay, let's go. Robin, let's hear you're excited.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here today. I just want to just give you a little glimpse of what we were honored with through the Be Well grants. We are doing at Palm Beach State College with the Student Counseling Center, as well as the National Council on Black Affairs, are hosting a Sister to Sister program. This program is for Black and brown people of color, young ladies, first time in college, and we are so excited. With this grant, we're going to have a mentorship program. There are going to be mentees. We're going to have a tea ceremony, college planner, and a host of videos that will help these young people through their first year of school and beyond. We are so grateful that Lauren, that I'm going to introduce next, is an awesome person, that she's a leader, community leader. I've known Lauren for a while, about 3 years now, and she works so hard. She is, I'm reminded of a question that she posed to everyone in August, which said, you know, she wanted to know, what are we doing as a community? And the question was, where are you now versus where we collectively hope for our communities to be? Lauren is a wonderful advocate for the community and what she does, and she continued to ask system leaders to brainstorm and seek out new ways and paths to support our community. I would like to introduce to some and present to others, Lauren.
Hi, everybody. That was quite a introduction. Thank you. I thought I was just going to say my name, so I appreciate all those accolades, but I will say I am not doing this alone. I know many of you help and participate on Be Well PBC action teams, are very invested and involved in this work, and so this really speaks to all of you. And I know Freslene St. Louis, who is my awesome project coordinator. She's on the call today too. And I told her if I forget anything, she's going to jump in and cover me. So I like to keep her around for that also. She's a good wing woman. So we are really excited about the Be Well, Do Well grants. It was our first cycle of doing them. We really saw a great opportunity in, you know, this moment of a lot of despair and uncertainty. How could we really turn around and support the community's behavioral health and wellness in a way that would foster some creativity, would be able to give money back to our community, put the money right into the hands of the community, and brainstorm around how can we really improve, invest, and look to the future around what can support the behavioral health and wellness of our community. So these Be Well, Do Well grants were, the application process released back in June. It went through July that people could apply, and anyone could apply. You could be a resident. You had to be a resident of Palm Beach County, but you could be a resident of Palm Beach County. You could have run a grassroots initiative. You could be with an educational center, recreation centers, municipalities, small businesses within or without of the behavioral health field. It was really open to anyone, whether you had an LLC or any kind of nonprofit, it didn't matter. We're really looking for creativity, innovation across the board. And we didn't want to set many parameters or have barriers to people applying. So we went through the process. We had a lot of great interest. We had more than 200 to 300 people participate in our Q&A sessions. And we had 105 applications in the end, which was a pretty robust group. We had so many amazing ideas. It was really hard to determine who were going to be the awardees. And I'm so happy to say that I didn't have to be a part of that decision because I liked all of them. we had a community panel of individuals that made the decisions for us. And so it was a community panel of 7 people, what we call our lived and learned experts. So people with behavioral health experience themselves and people with, some people in the field. And they chose 13 awardees, Robin and Palm Beach State being one of them. And we're really excited about that project because it speaks to behavioral health in a different way, really thinking about how to support people, college students as they go to school. And it's good for the mentors just as much as it is for the mentees, right? So it's a great way of thinking how to do this on other college campuses potentially. So thank you for that, Robin. We also, so the other 12 awardees were, we did have 2 or 3 residents who won dollars, one of them to do a mental health themed fashion show. And so it'll be artists, not just, it'll be artists creating fashion around, and re-envisioning mental health, but also there'll be opportunities for other kinds of artists with mixed media to offer up their artwork around mental health. And so that's going to be later in May. We had a couple of residents who are offering out, one's doing a men's group, support group. We have a few agencies. You guys know Center for Child Counseling. They are hosting a Healing the Healers. It's really a workforce wellness program that they're hoping to, they're piloting it with their own staff internally, and then they're looking to make it into a project that can then be offered out to other agencies, organizations, and businesses. We had a couple of faith-based community organizations that won for different projects, one of them being like a community garden where the community will come in and plant together and learn how to garden and have kind of their own support groups in the garden. And we had a local park in West Palm Beach who is running, it's actually associated, I should say, with Bridges. So the Bridges, and they are doing a program, and I won't even do it justice, it's amazing. It started yesterday, but it is focused on really helping people to build their own confidence and self-esteem and understanding of how worthy they are, and to help them kind of move through this series of get-togethers to, I guess in a way, really build up their own motivation to, do what they want to do in the community, to really give back and to give all of their talents. So we, like I said, 13 projects, very different, based all over the county, serving all different populations. Our 3 criteria was that they were serving our residents most in need, or they're looking at workforce wellness, or they're really helping us to build community networks. So you can go on our website, bewellpbc.org, to look up all the winners. You can definitely go to our social media page. I think Fresleen would be really angry if I did not say go to social media, because she's been posting about each of them and highlighting their stories. And we have camera crews following them for the next year as their projects unfold. So we're going to be helping them to tell their stories and show their progress and highlight all the great work they're doing. So we're really excited to see all of that play out. And we hope to continue to let you know how these progress are progressing throughout the year. So thank you for letting me talk about it today, and you'll definitely be hearing more about it.
Thank you so much, Lauren and Robin, for all that great news. Wonderful things happening in the community. Let me just say that as we move along,
Hey, Gerda, can I
I
just
think
ask
Seth
Lauren,
wants to jump in. Yeah, go
can I
for it,
just ask
Seth.
Lauren or Fresleen a quick question? So if we wanted to follow you on social media, how best to do that?
So we're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And I'm going to put the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Perfect. We also have a monthly newsletter that we put out. So if anyone's interested in that, Fresleen, will you put our email addresses, and we can add you to that big email blast, and you can read about all this progress there too. Thank you, Seth, for that question.
okay. Good. I just want to mention that Ed is our trustee timekeeper today, so he's helping us keep on schedule. So kind of just note when he does let us know when the time is running. I'm going to ask Elaine to come back now, and she, as the clinical director of Alpert Jewish Family Services, she's giving a report today in place of Cindy Whitus, the director of community outreach for mental health first aid. Cindy's unable to be here. And the interesting thing is that our very first Action Alliance priority, Elaine introduced when she, in 2014, mental health first aid, and that's now successfully matured in Palm Beach County, and it's a really big program, and we're very excited about that. So
yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah. Thanks, Gerda. So this is Cindy's report that I'm happy to share. So we all need to be very proud of what we've done in this community, in this county with mental health first aid. So to date, there's been trained through September 1st, 2020. There's an estimated 6,300 people in the county that have been trained in mental health first aid. That includes approximately 95 active instructors, including the school district, and not everyone is trained yet to meet virtually. So I'm going to give you an update on virtual mental health first aid training. The National Council for Behavioral Health, which is Mental Health First Aid's managing organization, has developed an updated curriculum and a virtual component. Virtually, the course is a little bit different in that it requires 2 hours of self-paced work by participants and then 5.5 hours of in-person Zoom education. Participants have 2 weeks before the Zoom class to complete and pass the self-paced portion. The new curriculum has new videos, new statistics, updated information, and really concentrates on the application of skills. We actually, very exciting, started our first virtual classes this month, and we've been having a very good response. We're still in the middle of getting instructors trained and certified to teach virtually. The National Council for Behavioral Health, who oversees mental health first aid, is actually a little bit behind. We're actually ahead of them, the national, in terms of getting our instructors up and ready. And I know Cindy's been on the phone with them, kind of pushing them a lot, and is working hard to get all of our instructors virtually trained. In terms of the grants, Cindy actually manages 3 separate grants at the moment. The Mental Health First Aid Coalition has 16 new instructors that were certified late in July. And those instructors were from Rebel Recovery. This grant is called OD2A, which is the Overdose Data for Action grant. That's a cooperative between Florida Department of Health, Health Council of Southeast Florida, Palm Health Foundation, and Jewish Family Service with Rebel Recovery. And their goal was to train their 16 addiction peer specialists to provide mental health first aid training for 100 participants. And they are identifying their own constituents who will be in those trainings. The next grant is the SAMHSA grant. And we have several mental health first aid trainers who are now, through that grant, being trained virtually as we speak. That is a lengthy process because of the national backlog in terms of the virtual training and COVID, and but there are already several classes scheduled to be rolled out. The concentration for the SAMHSA grant is veterans, armed service members, families, fire department, first responders, law enforcement, parent and youth serving organizations, teachers, school personnel, Haitian, Hispanic communities, and parents, with a focus on parents of those with serious mental illness in the audience. The third grant is the Florida Blue Grant. And a few of those instructors have already been trained virtually. The concentration for that grant is Glades, Riviera, West Palm, Lake Worth, Boynton, Delray. And as that may sound familiar to you, that is partnered and paired with the Healthier Neighborhood, targeted neighborhoods through the Palm Health Foundation. In-class persons through in-person classes are on hold right now for, I have no idea what I said, but it was something convoluted. In-person classes are on hold right now for that particular grant. So things are actually moving forward. The grants being scheduling, the trainings, participant fees are mostly covered through the grants. We, again, through the coalition, are working as hard as we can to continue to get rid of whatever potential barriers to attending these classes cost would provide. The school district also had a great summer. They taught youth mental health first aid to over 308 district employees. And it is really exciting because Cindy continues sort of as the hub, and we have these tentacles and everything kind of touches back. There are different branches of the coalition now, and it's really continues to just be a growing sort of a spider web, if you will, with all kinds of wonderful connections happening and continuing to happen. If any of you have not taken a mental health first aid class, or have a group of people, has to be a minimum of 20 at a time, who want to take mental health first aid and to take it virtually and learn the new class, just reach out to Cindy Whitus and she will hook you up. That's it.
Thank you, Elaine. That was a lot of good new information for everyone. Now I'm going to turn this next topic back to Rita, who 6 weeks ago convened a dynamic LGBTQ3+ task force to introduce our second priority, which is attracting a lot of interest countywide. She will introduce the planners and the resources that are being engaged to take action in Palm Beach County. So Rita and your team, you're all ready.
Thank you, Gerda. Thank you. Well, we talked for several years and we mentioned about a study group, and we held one, and then we held two, and we talked some more. But we realized that if this was an action alliance, it was time for some action. And I thought, okay, what do we do and who doesn't? Who takes responsibility? We're going to have a task force, and I was chairman. And I thought, all right, what do you know, Rita? Well, I know that I have always been told, you've got to think big. You got to work hard, to stay focused, and you've got to surround yourself with good people. And so I did. After 3 years, what task force was born. And it became my job to surround myself with good people, called a task force, and to do some research, lead them, move forward with this selected core group, some that I chose because they had a lived experience. And their task was to develop a common agenda. Well, we've now met 4 times. We've learned from each other. And we are here today to introduce ourselves and our expectations. First, I would like to ask Kim Mazauskas if she is ready to introduce herself, why she wants to work on this task force, what qualifies her, and what does she expect to accomplish personally. Kim, are you ready? Kim Mazauskas. I think she might be ready, but she's not tuned in.
Hey Rita, while she just gets situated, I just wanted to let Ed know that there's someone that's trying to get back in. So if he wouldn't mind checking that, that would be great. Thank you. Sorry, Rita.
All right. Keith Stewart. He was one of those good people that I found. And Pete has assisted us immensely with research. I want you to know how much I appreciate you, Pete. Will you please introduce yourself to everyone on this line?
Sure. Thank you, Rita. Pete Stewart, I'm the Health Education Specialist and Gender Studies Specialist for the School District of Palm Beach County.
Tell us what you would like us to know about you and your research that you were able to contribute.
So I've worked for the school district now for 12 years. In addition, I worked with the Red Cross for 10 years prior to that. And a lot of it involved these issues. We're currently funded by a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and one of the components of that grant is to work on safe and supportive environments, which encompasses bullying and inclusiveness in general, but is specific to our youth who identify under the LGBTQ plus umbrella. And so that relates to inclusive curriculum, inclusive policies, supportive adults, supportive clubs like GSA clubs in our schools. And so, it's not done in a silo. Obviously, I work with Cheryl Phillips, my resource teacher, as well as a lot of community agencies, Compass, Safe Schools South Florida, Be Well, NAMI, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, so I apologize, but I'm sure in some way I've worked with most of you on this call.
Pete, I have a question. Do we have a need for your services in Palm Beach County? Why did the school district decide to create your department? In other words, I remember hearing something about a youth risk behavior survey that came out of CDC. What did you talked to us seriously about that. And that's when I started learning what I needed to know to convene this task force. Can you share any of those findings with this group?
So sure. How long would you like me to speak? I actually do have some slides, but I won't share my screen, but just in summary. So the Youth Risk Behavior Survey is a survey that's conducted in our schools every 2 years in odd numbered years. So we're gearing up right now for the 2021 survey, which will take place in January. It's randomly selected second period classes in every one of our public high schools and middle schools. But questions related to this topic are really only asked in the high school survey. And so we just kind of have to pull those data from there. Basically, in a nutshell, and I can go into much more detail, but in a nutshell, on that survey, we ask a number of questions from injury prevention to physical activity, nutrition, sexual behaviors, alcohol, tobacco, and drug use. And so just briefly, of our students who took the survey, and we did get weighted data, which means that the sample that took the survey can actually be generalized to all public high school students in grades 9 through 12. And so what we've learned from that survey is right here in Palm Beach County, there are 12.5% of our students that identify as gay, lesbian, or bisexual. Unfortunately, in 2019, we did not ask the questions related to transgender youth. However, the state of Florida did ask that question, and their results were 1.5%. So if we add that on to the 12.5, we get about 14. And then one of the answers to that question was not sure, which could mean they weren't sure about the question, but could also mean they weren't sure, they were questioning, which is one of the definitions of the Q in LGBTQ. So if we add the 4.6% of students that were questioning to that, we have a number of students that approaches almost 20%, or 1 in 5. So this is a major issue in Palm Beach County, and of course it doesn't only affect those students, it affects family members, friends, and so on. And then we do see a disproportionate affect on these students through their identity. So many of them don't feel safe at school or on their way to or from, which is the importance of having those inclusive policies, inclusive instructional materials, supportive adults, clubs like GSA clubs. Many of them report being bullied on school property. Many of them have been electronically bullied. Some of them have great acceptance from their family, but not all of them. And so, of course, in this time where we're in distance learning, many of these students are stuck at home. And so for some of them, school has been a salvation where they go and they have supportive peers and supportive teachers and go to their GSA club. Whereas now they may be stuck at home. If anybody saw Channel 5 last night, and I believe they replayed it this morning, you saw Amanda Canetti, who is the youth coordinator for Compass. She spoke a little bit about the issues that youth are having, particularly in this time. But we also see disproportionately that students who identify as LG or B participate in self-harm, so like cutting, burning, those types of activities. Many have also considered suicide at 3 to 4 times the rate of their heterosexual peers. Many also created a suicide plan, and a disproportionate number also then attempted suicide. So again, being or identifying as LGBTQ+ is not a risk of suicide, but because of the complications, so the bullying, the I'm sorry, I'm talking way too long. So it puts them at risk for considering these things. And so just briefly, some of the main issues that we discussed amongst the task force is the right of those students to have a safe and supportive environment. And we talked already about those inclusive resources, inclusive policies, having those clubs like GSA clubs. The bathroom use, which actually now in the state of Florida, students must be allowed to use the bathroom that matches their gender identity. And that comes out of the Drew Adams case that was decided back on August 10th in the 11th Circuit. But also other public spaces, locker rooms, changing facilities, overnight field trips. We also have staff that are working with transitioning students. So the use of affirmed names and pronouns in school, which is absolutely allowed, and they can be used on any document that's not a legal document. So for example, without a name change, we can't change a diploma or change transcripts, but we pretty much can change anything else from their ID badge that they walk around school with, to their Google Classroom, which many of them are now having to use in this age of COVID. So, but also rising family tensions, bullying and cyberbullying, of course, mental and behavioral health issues that have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 closures of schools, unmet medical needs, students who may identify as transgender, but they may not have access to insurance, or have the ability to pay for things such as hormone blockers, or they may be going to doctors that have not been trained in dealing with transgender youth when it comes to STI and pregnancy prevention, for example. Also homelessness, and also the issues of parent engagement and school connectedness came up. And these were topics that came out, from all of our task force members during our 4 task force meetings so far. So I know that was a lot of information. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pete. You have indeed been a teacher for me. Thank you. I'd like to know if Kim Mazauskas and Cheryl are ready to respond and tell what your contributions and what your expectations are for this task force. We obviously, in this world and time, we are respecting all of the science. Kim, are you with us? Kim Mazauskas.
Rita, I'll be back on in 1 second. I'm just getting a call from the district. I'll be back on. If you could start with Cheryl, I'll be right on.
Yes.
Sure. No
Cheryl?
problem.
Lois?
Hi, everybody. I work with Pete with the CDC grant. So everything that he just says, I'm right behind him, and then some. So we are there to support our LGBTQ youth in our schools, and not just our students, but also our staff members as well. So this task force hopefully we'll be able to shed some light on the issues that LGBTQ youth are dealing with today, especially the bullying piece, not being accepted for who they are and allowing to be who they are.
Cheryl?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else on this task force are you working with? I know you work with Kim Mazauskas, who's going to be on in a few minutes. Jackie Jameson. You work with Jackie at Compass?
Yes.
Yes. Is there anyone
we
from
work very closely with Compass. I know someone put something in the chat box if Compass was a part of this task force, and they absolutely are a huge part of this task force. They are very beneficial to our LGBTQ youth. I don't know if there's anyone, I don't see anybody on this meeting that is from there right yet, but they are an excellent resource for our students. They have great support groups, as well as just a place to go to be able to, if they can get there, to be able to just decompress. And there's a bunch of books and other kinds of resources for the students at this community center. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's in an awesome building.
Oh, by the way, Cheryl Phillips, one of the books that you loaned to me about 3 years ago to help make me smart was given to someone that spoke, Dr. Bruce Saltz, and a psychiatrist, and he had a daughter. I asked him to review it. I just wanted you to know that loaning Rita a book made its travels. Thank you, Cheryl.
No problem, anytime.
When I spoke to the Chief Deputy Gauger at Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, he said he really wanted to talk to someone that I've appointed, Captain Beth Krivda. And I did, and she told me something else that I didn't know. I think that we have Michelle Banan on today. Michelle, are you with us? And can you give us a report on what the Sheriff's Department is doing?
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay.
It's good to meet you. It's only virtual.
Nice to meet you too. Yes, Captain Krivda apologizes that she couldn't be here, so she asked me to stand in for her. I can give you a little history. Towards the end of 2019, one of the county judges, retired, approached Sheriff Bradshaw and asked him if he had anything like this within the agency. And of course, his response was, I don't think so, but I will get it off the ground. And he got a hold of Chief DeMario, and DeMario appointed Major Van Reeth and Captain Krivda to head Spirit. So Captain Krivda got a hold of somebody at Compass, and so far I can tell you what we've already done. Now it's in the late November, December stage of 2019. But what we have so far in place with, and we do a lot with Compass, we assist them with the Smart Ride. We did it last year prior to even having this set up. On our www.pbso.org page, we have a service tab that anybody in the county, community, anybody can reach out to the LGBTQ liaisons within the Sheriff's Office. There's 4 women right now and 1 man working it as deputies. So 4 deputies, the captain, and then the major. We do a lot of the coffee clutches with them now. We go down to Compass, we meet and greet, we talk to everybody. I got with our graphics design. We made a trifold brochure. It actually looks really, really good. It's got a lot of information. It's an informational one. We've got the 211 services on there. We've got the websites to our page on the Sheriff's Office page. We are working on, I guess Compass is putting together some kind of teen program. And I said, absolutely, we'll come down, we'll work with the teens. If you have an elderly program that you create, we'll come down, and Captain Krivda, I don't know if she's still in talks with them, which I know she is, but I don't know how far that program's gotten yet, especially with COVID now. So the future plans, I know we are working on doing the Gay Pride 2021. Hopefully it's a go. Let me see. I know we are doing, right now we are, I believe the captain is in the process of creating a 4-hour training block for every deputy that works at the sheriff's office. And it's going to go into the training division and be a part of our annual training. And she is working on law enforcement supervisors 2021 training, which will include the history, general LGBTQ facts, issues and concerns, and domestic violence in the community. And also the sheriff's office at special events, we just started a therapy dog program. I have the first therapy dog, and she's awesome. So we just finished training at the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, and I've got like probably 6 more classes before I can even attend the therapy. So we'll be bringing her out also. And she's actually attending almost, but she will be attending November 21st. Captain Krivda is working the Smart Ride again. They can't do the full ride, so they're going to do the 164-minute ride. And we'll be out there. We're going to have a table out there. We're going to do raffles out there. We're going to have some giveaways. And the therapy dog and I will be attending also. So we're working on getting more programs going.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I missed meeting with Beth. Please let her know.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you.
Holly Katz, you are someone that's trying to do something and has been successful, and then COVID came. Where are you, Holly?
I am
Tell
here.
us what you're ready to do next.
Yes, yes. So I am here, and yes, even though it's COVID and then COVID came, COVID has kept us busy. So, it's very timely that it's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And Fox Center is busy. We have most of our services up through telehealth, our individual, family, couples, group, and support groups. But one group that is due to open, which I'm most excited about on Tuesday, is our LGBTQ teen group. That is in partnership with Jewish Family Services, Ruth and Norman Rails Jewish Family Services. So in the south end of the county, and I've had contact with Compass, and they do amazing work. For some of our youth, though, when we're normally open, they're coming from more the very south end of the county, or or Deerfield or Pompano and Broward. So we have found that there's been a need for additional services actually in Boca. And now we are not doing groups, we're not doing any work at the center because of COVID. So we're going to be launching this group virtually. We have a number of teens who are set to start with us on Tuesday from 6 to 7. The group is free, and there's, it's, as Pete had said, and I'm not sure what else to add other than nationally, just like Palm Beach County has found, surveys show that LGBTQ teens have about 40% of them have identified having suicidal thoughts in the past year. So that is huge. And what was also said, and I cannot emphasize this enough, the protective factors are having a family who is accepting, having a rock or one person who is accepting to go to, having, if you're a transgender teen, having the ability to have the idea of pronouns be respected and being called by what you identify, whether it's him, her, she, he, whatever. That's extremely important behaviors, and that has a direct impact on teens' mental wellness. So it's extremely important that we all educate ourselves. And I'm really thrilled that the Fox Center, and please write it down, has become known as a very inclusive center. We now have our practicum students and interns who identify as LGBTQ specifically want to train at FALC because of the reputation that we are gaining in the academic community for the work that we do. And so I'm very proud of that as well. So please, if you know of any youth who would benefit from potentially joining this group, then they can call the Fox Center. We do have receptionists available answering the phones from 9 to 5, even though we're not doing work in the building, and they can give them the Zoom link to how to go ahead and log on to that Zoom group. We also have hopes of relaunching, which we did stop when COVID hit, but we also had 2 additional LGBTQ groups. We had an LGBTQ ally group, which was parents, friends, ally of LGBTQ friends or family. And we hope to relaunch that in the next month. And we also hope to relaunch our LGBTQ adult group. And all plan at this point to be virtual because unfortunately we don't have any plans to come back at the center at this point. Maybe a vaccine will happen and that will change. We can keep our fingers crossed. But until that happens, we're going to continue to practice safely at FALC. But, those of you who know FALC Center, we have a reputation for the groups that we hold because we have a number of groups for therapy, adults, seniors, children. And we were really concerned during COVID. We're like, how are we going to do all these groups virtually? And how in the heck is this going to happen? And I'm really pleasantly surprised that people can connect and feel supported, and our groups are actually working really well so that even when COVID ends, I strongly plan on continuing some percentage of our groups virtually, even when we can be, because it allows people to come from way beyond where people would be willing to travel in a car and with people's schedules. It's actually, that's the positive side of COVID. I think that
All right. Thank you, Holly. Thank you very much.
Holly, Rita, I have a very, very
Kim
quick question.
Misoskus.
I have a very quick question for Holly. Holly, are you doing any professional training on this issue for other mental health professionals?
Professional training on which issue?
On working with LGBTQ population?
Ah, gotcha. We've been doing it in-house, obviously, for our own clinicians, and but we can look at doing that maybe.
Talk to you offline. All right, I'll talk to you offline.
Okay, offline. Oh, see. Anyway, so that's my report, and if there's any more information, reach out to Falk and Ruth Rails as well, but they'll bounce you over to Falk.
My understanding, Holly, is that you and Beth Levine have both agreed to be available for consultation with the task force as it pursues its work and its final report.
Absolutely. I mean, I know, I don't know about Beth, but I couldn't commit to monthly meetings, but I certainly want to, be able to be of help and consult and share information, whenever there's a need. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Kim Misoskus, I think you are now available.
Oh, I am, yeah.
All right. Kim, you know that down on the program, we have someone by the name of Dee Palazzo, who is representing the Equality Florida. And you first introduced me to her when you received award from her and from Equality Florida a few years back. She will not be available with us, so she's off the agenda. But I would like to know if you, as a task force member, would take a few minutes, not too long, but give us a brief, what do you expect from this task force, and how is it going to help you as an employee of the school district who works with youth groups and youth ambassadors? It's yours, Kim.
Okay, well, Rita, real quick, I know I'm going to be doing the Mike Kane's piece. When is that? I'm going to do that afterwards?
Kim?
After this?
Kim,
Yeah.
Kim, what I'm,
Yes.
this is Gerda talking right
It
now.
will be after the film.
Okay, so let me, I'll be very quick. So I guess what I want, being on the task force, I met Dee Palazzo years ago when she had a role similar to mine in the Department of Safe School, where we really work on building school climates where all kids belong, feel safe and valued. And she did a lot of the same kind of work we did. And then we realized through our youth surveys that there were a group of students very marginalized. So together, Dee Palazzo, a former colleague of mine, we all know Rick Lewis, Pete, and Cheryl, were able to start one of the first collaboratives where all the districts throughout the state were able to come and start discussing issues surrounding LGBTQ plus students. So Dee was very formidable in getting the people from Equality Florida with us and having a really good symposium where we could start looking at our policies and our procedures, not only policies, but how do we make places really, a place where LGBTQ plus students are accepted. So that was our work for a long ago. Now, basically in my new role, what I'm trying to do with the task force is to be able to create spaces and places on campuses where we can build bridges between all our diverse students and where kids have a chance to have a student voice, have a chance to take their social emotional competencies really and apply them and work them in some meaningful participation. So we're going to be doing student-centered groups where kids learn certain skills so that they can become allies for one another, and then places where students see a need, a cause, and they want to do something about it, and we find those persons on campus that can help them facilitate that, really. So, that's a great picture, Rita. Thank you. Please.
By the way, who is the young lady standing to my left? She worked for Compass about 10 years ago.
Isn't that Catherine Murphy there? Or no?
No, her name is Ryan Marie.
Oh, yeah,
And,
Ryan Marie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ryan
She-
Marie.
Know her, Rita.
She's now married and living in Boca. All right.
and has a consulting firm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess my work for years is just to make sure that schools are places where kids belong, where they can take their voices, their passions, their talents, their interests, and use them to contribute for the good of all schools. And that's it. So it's a lot. And I think this pandemic has been wonderful. It's really giving us as educators an opportunity to relook about how we do business. And in this time, we're going to have to all come back, with our students' mental health and well-being at the forefront, although we're so pressured to catch them up academically. So a lot of my work is dealing with staffs and how, actually how we do that too. So I know that if we're supposed to, and I'm going to finish, but if this is my goal, okay, everybody says a little weird, but I think you'll all understand this. So if our goal in schools is to create a generation of resilient, self-regulating, self-aware, emotionally intelligent, conscious, capable, and ethically minded citizens, we've got to make sure we tend to their mental health and their mental well-being. And I hope that all of you can help us create that. Places for them to do that, and that you can be those nurturing and caring adults that have high expectations for them, and we give them meaningful participations to become these kinds of citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see people again. Yep.
Is C. Ron Allen on? Rita, ready? Ed, do you see C. Ron Allen? No.
Don't.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. And is there anyone else that is a member of the task force that would like to be introduced at this time?
Oh.
All right.
Kathy, I'm in for Alexa Lee. Is that okay for me to speak?
I think there is a time for you to speak when Seth Bernstein has his open session at a little further on down the agenda.
Okay.
This is for task force members only. But
Sorry.
I know that Alexa Lee would be very pleased to have you serve as a resource on the task force. All right?
All right.
Right now, I think there's something that you will be very interested in. I learned about it about a week ago when the Democratic National Convention was on. They had a caucus meeting that was dealing with LGBT issues in the Democratic caucus. I tuned in, I saw a speaker, I learned about him, and I would like to introduce you to a representative of the, the House bill in Pennsylvania. He spoke out for legislation, and I think this is perfect. Ed, take it away.
I've offered this amendment on other bills, and I'm offering it today, and I plan to do so in the future. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about why this is so critical. Like so many people in my neighborhood, and maybe some of my colleagues had the same experience, I grew up in an incredibly religious household. And so going to church on Sunday for multiple services from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., that was the norm. And going to Bible study on Wednesday and then on Friday, that was also very common in my house. At the age of 13, Mr. Speaker, my pastor and congregation acknowledged the call of God on my life, and I was actually ordained to preach and lead services. And church meant so much to me. But at every service and at my school and on TV and in the law, I was always told implicitly and explicitly that who I was not an option, that who I was unacceptable. And those messages caused the deep depression that a lot of young people across Pennsylvania know and understand and are experiencing right now. And in those messages, they left me feeling powerless to muster the courage, Mr. Speaker, to ever say publicly that I was gay. And at the age of 16, Mr. Speaker, after coming home from one of those services, my mom stopped me at the door and she asked, "Malcolm, are you gay?" And I don't know what was preached about that day, but somehow I found the strength to say yes. My mom, who had always been my protector and my hero, slammed me with some of the same vicious slurs that I've combated well before I came into this chamber. She told me I was going to hell, told me to get out of her house. And what followed was a deep depression and a fractured relationship with my mom for many years. Now, over time, God rest her soul, we lost my mom 3 years ago in July. Over time, we rebuilt our relationship. And with a lot of prayer and with a lot of reflection on her part, she came to understand what we need to understand in this body and what this amendment is all about. That who I was should not determine how I'm treated and did not determine whether or not she loved me. So this amendment is just about fairs or arboretums, but it's really about the message that we're sending to young people from this body about whether or not who they are is acceptable or whether or not who they are is worthy of shame, and whether or not they should just come to accept as normal the discrimination that LGBTQ folks so often feel in the Commonwealth. So we're telling them that in America, that in the Commonwealth, that's supposed to be a beacon of fairness and of freedom, that who they are makes them less than, and that if they become a target of discrimination, oh well. That's what we're saying to them. And so it should come as no surprise that LGBTQ youth face death by suicide at 57% of the rate of straight young people. It should come as no surprise that LGBTQ youth constitute the largest group of our homeless youth all across the Commonwealth. It should come as no surprise that many of them are kicked out, just like I was told to leave. Now, it's crazy to believe in 2020, you can still not go to a fair and not be worried about whether or not you're going to be discriminated against. That in 2020, you can still lose your home or your job simply because of who you are. You can still be removed from other public accommodations and the other outside recreational activities that this bill seeks to open. So I introduced this amendment yesterday, and I'm doing it today because we have to send a message that in 2020, y'all, that in Pennsylvania, everybody's gonna get a fair shot to pursue their dream or to go outside and have a good time. They're gonna get a fair shot to be treated fairly, and it's downright heartbreaking to watch a majority, and I saw the other day it was a slim majority, but a majority of my colleagues, some of whom I've come to call friends, vote against my right to be treated fairly in the same body in which I serve with you. You're saying we don't have a right to be treated fairly, and it breaks my heart that I even have to offer this amendment. And I know that there are young people at home who, like me, are weird and watching PCN for some reason, who are hearing a stark message that they are different and that they have to relegate their lives to what is so often uneven and unfair. And I believe that we're better than this. I must believe that we're better than this. And it's why I will keep trying. It's why that I have no doubt that one day we'll make real in Pennsylvania those famous words that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Mr. Speaker, we can make sure that's true today by voting for this amendment, and I'd appreciate an affirmative vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've offered.
Thank you. Kathy, thank you for being here, and stay connected always. I think that film said it all for our task force, and it leads us right into the next section. Gerda, would you please introduce
We have a decision to make, Rita, because we're running quite late. And we do have some other reports. We're going to have to try to get through them rather quickly, and we don't want Seth to, Seth has a segment of time that he would like to have at the end. So,
and Gerda and Rita, I can, make it short, just for folks to be thinking about.
Okay, so let us,
on their mind or announcements.
Kim, I'm going to ask you a favor. I had asked you to read Mike's report because he's not here, but it's quite long. And out of the essence of time, I'm going to put that whole report in the minutes. So rather than take the time to read it all here, if that's okay with you. Where's Kim? What happened?
That's fine by me. Absolutely,
Okay.
Gerda.
I'm trying to salvage what we do have left in order to get to some of the reports that are here.
Gerda, I just wanted to say that Mike, of course, and many of our other colleagues would like to be here, but just for the community to know that we're all been called in to support schools.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll be here next. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
People that are not here because they don't want to be here. They were called into duty this morning with special tasks because of the school district going back. So,
Gerda?
Yes.
I have a question. Is Dr. Rotenberg and Pam Frazier still on for the Faith Initiative report?
I have them down.
I'm still here.
Thank
Yeah.
Yes, I did not skip them. I was just
All right, thank you.
correcting something. Okay, so we're going to call now. I'm going to call Dr. Rothberg and Pam to talk about the Faith Initiative. And that was introduced to Action Alliance in 2013 when Elaine took some action. And I don't know how you want to divide this up, so I'm going to call on both of you and you can decide what order you would like to speak.
I'm very clear on wanting to give the majority of this presentation to Pam because she's been actively working currently on the Faith Initiative much more than I have. About 4 years, whatever year that was, I hosted an interdenominational kind of gathering. Thank you, Rita, at Jewish Family Service, and we had some representatives from all different faith communities just to begin to break the silence about mental illness, that it happens across all populations, including in our faith communities, and we've often recognized that that is a place where we can get our voice out. People turn to their faith communities, and we've made some pretty good inroads there. I know mental health first aid has been offered at many churches and synagogues throughout the community. We've had rabbis that have publicly spoken about mental illness, also throughout the community. And in terms of current things going on, I am going to turn it over to Pam to give a whole spiel about it. Right, Pam?
I'm going to try my very best. I'll see what I can do.
I know you can.
I tried to be as succinct as possible because I know that it had been started back in 2013, and I wasn't made aware of the Faith Initiative until late last year in 2019, before the COVID thing actually got underway, and then we kind of lost momentum. But I hope that what I have done thus far, we can, something will come out of it. So I prepared just a few words I wanted to say, and that's about the development of the Faith Initiative. I would like to say that we are currently in the midst of pulling together a group of professionals that has full representation or makes up full representation of the faith community. Our activities have included gathering resources and talking one to another with the intent to form a faith study group. And once this group of faith experts has met, then only they will then determine the areas of need and move on to become a full task force. It is anticipated that this group will convene within the next couple of months or shortly after completion of the LBGT task force meetings. Our vision for this study group is to educate and encourage faith-based communities to embrace all people affected by mental illness and provide experts such as members from the Action Alliance to make referrals to. Our expected outcome is to have faith and mental health professionals partner to address this big world of mental illness. We will first be offer training in mental health first aid and move on to conducting periodic trainings utilizing experts from the Action Alliance as presenters. I must stress that the words co-responsibility, because we see this as really 3 units, and that's the clergy, the providers such as yourself, and as well as the congregants or members of the congregations of the various churches or other places of worship that we're dealing with. So often, clergy is turned to because it is trusted, but that trust can only be strengthened with a good referral. And just as there is bereavement counseling, one may also need pastoral counseling. And again, I wanted to say that we are currently assembling the initial study group but we are looking to try to be as comprehensive as we can with all communities of culture. And I know that I don't know if you wanted me to do this, but there have been several people who have committed or expressed a sincere interest in becoming a part of this faith committee or this faith study group. And one of those persons is actually on the line because she's also a member of our West Palm Beach Mental Health Coalition. And I'd like to just recognize that one of our members is Debbie Manigat, and she's on the phone. I mean, she's on the Zoom call now. If Debbie would just say hi. Debbie, can you hear me?
Sure. Greetings, everyone. Glad to be here, learning so much from everyone, and glad to learn how we can continue to connect and support faith-based communities with the importance of mental wellness.
Hey Debbie, while you have the stage, can you give a shout out to the conference October 10th, please? I know you put it in the
Sure.
chat, but just so everyone knows, and they may not be looking at that.
Sure. October 10th is World Mental Health Day. We will be having an online conference due to COVID. It was at Palm Beach Atlantic University, but their campus is closed. So out of respect to just making sure everyone is safe, we brought speakers like Seth Bernstein, Catherine Murphy. We have, I saw Tammy Fields earlier, maybe she had to leave. But several wonderful speakers who will be coming and sharing what they're doing in the community. Mr. Morse from the Mental Health America of Palm Beach County, also John Davis with the Mental Health Counselors Association. So we're bringing together all of their voices to share the information, but also to make sure we're uplifting that sense of love and peace, and giving people tangible tools and practical resources that they can take back to their homes, their church, and their community.
Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it. And in fact, I'm excited because I'll be on the panel that Catherine Murphy from NAMI will be hosting. So that is my presentation for this particular meeting. I'll be happy to entertain any questions at another point.
Thank you, Pam. And did someone say that Tammy left? Because she was our last report before Steph. Is Tammy here?
He left a message in the chat that she had to jump off, I think.
Okay, I don't know, Seth, whether you have anything you might want to say on behalf of Birth to 22?
Yeah, she did text me saying that, she can give a fuller report next time. But, I would just say that, our next meeting is September 25th at 9 o'clock, like she wrote in there, and you can email either her or I if you'd like to come. But, we're going to be continuing the conversation about how kids are suffering differently now, given the social isolation and the COVID situation, and the fears, concerns, opportunities that schools opening are going to have. And Youth Services Department offers lots of trauma-informed care-free services and lots of organizations. Some, like Lauren mentioned before, are offering all kinds of great services. And there's even been some increased funding for services given the COVID-19 situation from the Funders Coalition. And that's really it for now. Given the time, we'll kind of pause there. But if anyone has any questions or thoughts about, anything that we're doing through the Birth to 22 Becoming a Trauma-Sensitive Community, would love to hear about it. You're welcome to chat in the box, put a chat in the box also, and I'm happy to comment on it.
Okay, we can move right on to your section of the meeting, Seth. I'd like to do a decent introduction to those that don't know you. Dr. Seth Bernstein is the Executive Vice President for Community Investment for United Way of Palm Beach County. He also serves as Vice President of Boca Raton's Promise, the Alliance for Youth, and now he wants to hear from all of you.
Yeah, and let me just comment on something in the chat. I think Rory, you had mentioned, and there was some other conversation just about the anti-racist work that's going on in Palm Beach County, and how the disparities for accessing behavioral health services and health services and everything really for people of color and Black folks in particular is such an issue. We really haven't focused on that here. There are lots of other avenues that are diving into that a lot more. Certainly we can talk about it here. And what I would say is, for anyone that has had the 2-day Racial Equity Institute training from the Racial Institute REI folks in Greensboro, North Carolina, you're welcome to attend those. Lauren actually helps to manages that distribution list and invite. And we're actually broken up into different affinity groups. So we're looking at the inequities in healthcare, education, and criminal justice, Lauren?
Behavioral health, actually. One of them is specifically behavioral health, criminal justice, and education. And the next one is next Thursday night for the affinity groups. And then the caucuses are Tuesday night. So if you didn't get an invite, reach out to me if you're a Racial Equity Institute alumni, and I can give you the invite for that.
Yeah, and that's the REI alumni for the full 2-day. Because we want folks to have kind of a baseline of language when we're talking about equity and equitable solutions and structural and institutional racism. We want folks to have a really a solid understanding of that and have a common understanding of it. But happy to, that could even be part of our discussion now if you'd like, Rory and others. But really this part is just to, hear from folks about things that, you'd like to, get more information about, or concerns, in the behavioral health, mental health space right here in Palm Beach County or beyond, that we could be paying attention to, or maybe there's some other groups or networks that are helping to dive into that. So kind of an open space, and we can also get some announcements from folks if there's other information that anyone here would like to share. Rory, did you want to chat more about that here?
Yeah, no, I was just no, and I know we're doing awesome work. I know that with the groups of Racial Equity Institute, I know I'm coming to those meetings, and I think that work is awesome and wonderful. I just think it's important to also continue that conversation here, especially because specifically
who's
focused
speaking?
on mental health. Oh, Rory, sorry, can you hear me? Rory,
Rita, it's Rory that's speaking.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can
Will
hear
you
you loud and clear.
identify her name, her by name?
My name is Rory Geller Muhammad.
All right. Gerda, do you have a note down?
She's been around for some time, Rita. Yes, she's been on the
Yeah.
list. Yes, I know.
Go ahead, Rory. Rory, continue.
Thanks. No, I was just saying, I think it's awesome, the work that is being done. I just would, just to make a suggestion to also maybe try for us to start including some of those conversations in this space as well, because there is so much overlap. And because since this group, the emphasis is so much on mental health, and I'm hearing with the LGBT community, the amazing work that's being done, and I would love to see obviously of course there's overlap, but a parallel around that, around anti-racism and around anti-oppression work, because when we think, and even just a lot of times just dismantling white supremacy, when we think about school shootings, right? A lot of times we're not talking about that, but who are the white kids that are shooting up these schools? What are those issues? We're not always talking about it in that language. When we think about the kids, the curriculum, and the stuff that our kids, especially now, right? Because we're watching what our kids, since most of it's virtual, we can see what our kids are learning in their classes, and when they're not learning accurate history, and this is where a lot of that's stemming from. And we're sort of seeing, I feel this is also, since we are talking about that in regards to the LGBT community and some of those spaces, it just seems there's so much overlap that expanding that conversation in this space might also be helpful. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And because in this space, there's also I feel we have people from so many different organizations, and we have you know, legislative people. There's so many people. It's such an amazing group. So my suggestion is just for future meetings, if we can also continue to bring that lens or bring some of those conversations into this space, because it is, so much of it is mental health based. And I know with the Racial Equity Institute, we are doing that work, but it's not specifically like mental health. And even like the mental health first aid, right? If hearing about like, what does that look like around like racial trauma? What does that look like in regards to like anti-oppression work? Like how, we're not really hearing that as much coming up.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And if I could jump in, I apologize because of time constraints, but I did mean to mention that obviously the LGBT community cuts across all demographic, racial, religious groups. And of course, we want to recognize the equity work that that LGBT and BLM and other groups have done so well in working together, from Stonewall with Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, right up to the BLM movement with Alicia Garza and Patrisse Cullors, who both identify under the LGBTQ spectrum. So absolutely, we recognize that, and usually when we do trainings, we recognize our privileges within a space and absolutely do that anti-racism work. And I was remiss in not mentioning that earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Thanks, Pete. That was Pete, Rita, but I bet you recognize his voice. Yeah, I think we are, I think these are all great points. You know, the more diversity, equity, inclusion conversations and that we're bringing in just makes it more real. And actually, just to note, United Way is talking about putting together a diversity, equity, and inclusion conversation in the nonprofit community for November 4th. So Compass would be a part of that, but don't have any more information about that right now, but really, really great points. Dr. Saltz, did you have your hand up there, Bruce?
Nothing now, Steph.
Okay, great. Thanks. Nice to see you again.
Likewise.
Other comments, thoughts related to what's been mentioned, or anything else that we should be paying attention to? Any concerns, opportunities in the community that you all have that you want to bring to the table? Okay. Unless I'm locked up, it looks like there's not anything pressing from folks. Are there any announcements from folks?
Patrisse here.
Yes, Patrisse.
Just wanted to, our staff, since the beginning of the epidemic or pandemic, we've had basically an excess, an additional 10,000 calls coming in. And one of the other pieces that a lot of people don't realize is that we answer the National Disaster Distress Helpline, which is kind of a product of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So right now our staff are getting calls from California and the Gulf area hit by the hurricane, and just a wide swath of calls from the United States, people that are coping with their mental health and distress, and our staff have the resources for those exact areas to be able to guide those individuals. So just keep that in mind too. So it's just, a lot going on at 211, as you can imagine. And our second quarter, the mental health calls were 11,350. And that's for our whole 5-county region. We're averaging about 126 mental health calls daily at this point. And then, the suicide calls, of course, calls and concerns about suicide are at about 9 per day. So a lot going on.
Seth?
Wow. Yep. Thanks, Patrisse. I know, we're having conversations about, the mid and long-term effects of all this social isolation and distancing and anxiety and depression. And, we're not sure that the bottoms fell out yet.
Not yet.
So, I think we all need to pay attention to that. And I know, Lane, you're doing a whole lot of training on this too. And
yeah, I just have a couple
I
of
think
things.
we gotta, just continue taking care of ourselves as we're taking care of other people. And
Seth, I just have a couple of things also.
Please.
So yeah, it's true. We have several free support groups open for the community. There's the Coping with Our New Reality group, Monday nights for parents at 6, parents at 8. That's for parents who are struggling with dealing with all this stuff in terms of their kids. And then at 6 o'clock for the anybody from the general community who's struggling. But the other thing is we actually just started 2 virtual support groups for women in high conflict relationships, which has also escalated during the pandemic, and have just started a second family survivors of suicide group. So we have 2 of those groups. If anybody, because there's no cost for any of these groups, if you're interested in knowing about those, just go on Jewish Family Service, the Alpert Jewish Family Service website. And we'd probably be remiss to not mention in October through Palm Healthcare sponsors the Train the Brain month, which is like a great credit to Palm Health that they've decided to, rather than encourage everybody to create new programs, they're this year spending October highlighting existing programs that are happening in the community related to resilience in the face of this pandemic. So I encourage you to look at their website because they're obviously big supporters of all things mental health related.
Great. Thanks, Elaine. Appreciate you.
Nice to
Appreciate
see you, Seth. Appreciate you too.
Always.
Okay, Rita, where are you, Rita?
Rita's right here.
I think are you done?
Rita is here. Seth?
Yep, I'm done, barring calling on some folks. I'm done. Just appreciate everyone being here.
All right. I would like to bring the meeting to a close. I want to thank everyone who's participated. I want to let you know that we have a November 20th meeting planned with a visitor from California. It's escaping the fires, but here to talk to us about the connecting of the brains. I want to remind you that the recording of today's event is available, and we will be sending out information on how you can connect to that. To my Jewish friends, Lashana Tova. And on November 3rd, I would like to say 3 words. God bless us all. I'm not sure how I feel about November 3rd, but we have managed to stay apolitical. I am so proud of us. We'll see you later. Gerda, I'm sure you'll have some type of a report, and I want to thank everyone so very much. Have a nice evening. I shall.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Everybody.